No problem. Sorry, Hajat Sarah, go ahead, please. And apologies for anyone who was watching. Would like to report this. Yes, submit the report. Yep.
I was saying how I would be very unhappy if I had to get my own money to look after my family or the children. I wouldn't mind to support if I want to, but it doesn't have to be my duty to buy bread and food and everything in the house. So when you see how men behave here in the UK, where they even want to know how the woman spends the children benefits, which she claims from the government, it's really surprising. They have thrown in the towel, and most of them even sit at home and don't work. And they have to sit there and ask you for money for the bills and everything. Let it be a mutual understanding. Yes, I can be sympathetic if I know that you're trying your best, but don't expect me to be the one doing all those jobs, which are meant to be when you are the one who is meant to do those jobs. So I would find it quite upsetting if it is me who is going to look after the family, when I know, well, from my upbringing, that is the man's responsibility. So munangenze okukweguya kuba tekujja kubaawo definitely.
That's where I was coming to. So are you the type? Are you the Stella type that if you ask for something and it doesn't happen there and then you just buy it yourself?
Yeah, I would do, because I don't want to be struggling. If I want something, if I can afford it, but that means also you be not being a man enough in the house. My respect for you won't be the same, really. It won't be.
I see Galaxy S7 hand being up, and
we are
he already
losing you,
put
Mr.
well, I don't know whether he or she will be hearing shortly. He says, now you are losing me. Oh no, I was saying a Galaxy
you.
S7. Stay there, Hajat. Oh, that's weird. Was that part of the invasion that has just happened? I can hear myself, and let me just try to say. I was saying that S7 Galaxy their hand is up. Hajat Sarah, stay there. I'm still with you, but I've seen a hand from Galaxy S7 who says men marry their wife and you are the head of you should never feel inferior in your home, and you can handle it when your wife earns more than the husband. Love is the key to everything. I'll bring you in, Galaxy S7. Hajat Sarah, stay there, please. I'll just come back to you. Let me try to explore this a little bit, the inferiority complex that evolves out of wife earning more than the husband. Galaxy S7, your hand is up. Hello, Galaxy S7, you can just unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, it's been very, very long. We couldn't know. We've just been hacked, and apologies to.
I'm sure I was surprised.
Someone tried to come in here and cause a bit of havoc here, but we managed to get rid of them quickly. Yes, Mr. Makumbi, nice to hear from you, engineer. It's been long since we last heard from you. Are you well?
I'm here. There are so many wicked people in this country. So I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry for all that. So I was making a lot of comment about the men in London or the UK. I think if you look at the average, men here are more reasonable. It's only the minority who behave like that. So we should take it like that. At least we are more reasonable and we care about their family. Yeah, I've had the problem. People have been talking about wife earning more.
Yes.
I think shouldn't be a problem if there's love and mutual respect. Here in this place, men are so very easy to lose their job. Could be earning a lot of money. Come the next day, when there are redundancies, you are the first one to be out of job. And usually, if in such a situation, men and women have been supporting them men through those tough days. But if there is love, I think everything is possible. But what causes that is inferior complex. If you marry your wife, I don't see why you should feel jealous if she earns more than you are. You can put everything together, you plan how you are supposed to run the family, and you won't have any problem if there is mutual respect and transparency. If you earn, say, less than her, you put on the table. You say this is how we're going to split or share the cost or bring up the family. And then she accept it.
Isamakumbi, that's where the problem is. Wanaisa, that's where the problem is. The moment you sit on the table and you start discussing in the context of this is how much I earn, this is how much you earn, you are trying to make the wife shoulder a lot more responsibility. And if she does, that now affects the decision making in the home. This was sort of touched on by previous speakers.
No, you share everything. You share happiness and miserable in the family. If you fall on hard days, you're supposed to help you out. And when she falls on hard days, supposed to bear out. So when I look at that, if there's mutual respect and mutual understanding, it wouldn't be any problem. But if you hide everything, if there's no transparency.
But it's sometimes because like in this particular perspective, you sound really theoretical. From a practical point of view, when you see what happens in homes, the reality is if wife is going to be contributing, a significant chunk.
Not theoretical. There have been some days when I was laid off. She took me some time to get a job. And there was anything in the change in our lifestyle. She knew that I didn't have the job, and then she had to chip it in. When I got the job, everything went back to normal. So the thing is, because I've been very open in my marriage, she knows how much I get. I know how much she gets. We plan, we are going to do this. We set a target. Say this year we are doing this. We put money together, put money aside for our social life and our activities. So if anybody falls on her time, we don't feel it. So time when she had to go to the university, do secondary degrees, I had to support everything, even contribute part of the school fees. But I know that.
So it is down on how the person runs the home.
Yeah.
It is the kind of relationship that you have between you and your wife.
Yeah. That's the key to everything.
Okay, I can see some messages in the chat room. I'll just quickly read them as I'm still with you, engineer. Don't go away. I was just reading a quick message here. I was saying, stay on, don't go. I was just reading a message here. Hajat Sarah says, love needs nurturing. Abdul Karim says, time has changed from the tradition of a better focus for the next generation. It is key to add value to family. Hajat Sarah says, and money is one of the things that nurtures love. Someone comes in, I think it is it Jaden, who says, I disagree with that. Hajat, what happens when money disappears and either party has become so used to money, temptations develop and eventual separation? Quite an interesting conversation going on. Go ahead, Engineer Makumbi. I wanted to explore this issue of Kweguya. Does that appear in your environment, or you've set it up in such a way that
if you love each other, you will not feel anything? So when she needs something, I say, I've got money, you go and do this. If I need something, I can go to that and this. And then I buy it. I won't feel anything because there's love and there's mutual respect for each other. We've been doing everything together, investment together, everything together. And there's no
today I was in a car with a man. He's 68. He's been driving a car since he was 18. He's a white guy. He's 68. He's been driving since he was 18. Couple of months ago, about 2 months ago, he just blacked out while driving. He went and rammed his car into trees. DVLA took his license off him. And for a person who has known a car all that life, so we're having this conversation, and it's really so. It was nice how it came to inform part of today's conversation that we are having. Now he says I have to be very nice to my wife, otherwise she would not drop me off. She came to me yesterday and says, "Do you mind cutting the grass, please?" And from the man's perspective, it sounded like this is not something that he would ordinarily do. It was not like it was the wife probably doing it. Maybe the husband, they used to get someone to come and do it. Now the wife is asking him to cut the grass. And he said, I obliged because otherwise then I won't have my lift. But there was that kind of disability inability arising out of a person who is used to being so able, and then all of a sudden the person is, made to be unable. Case in point again,
Yeah,
COVID breaks out. Yeah, COVID
yeah,
breaks out.
if they ask to cut the grass, tell that to bag the grass into the black bag. So you share the job together. You do it together. You cut it, say, collect it, and put in the black bag. And then
Yeah, but I'm saying the context in which the man spoke about it, it sounded like, this was not business as usual. And the change of circumstances had led him into that. For men
but that's
to
what I've been talking about.
handle, yeah.
That's what I've been talking about. In this place, circumstances can change in a day. You can go to job to work tomorrow. There's a redundancy in the place. You're the only first on the line. You're the first. You're out. So should you run into the trap because you lost your job? No, you have to go to her, and then she'll bail you out and then support you financially and morally and everything till you are on your way out, till you can get work and get a new job and then start a normal life. If there is love, it wouldn't be any problem. But if there's no love, it becomes a problem.
If there is love.
If one has been cheating,
yes,
it might become a problem. But if not, however my husband has been around, we've been together, you won't feel anything. You'll be like normal, as usual.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Issa Makumbi. 17 minutes past 9 o'clock. You are on the program Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on Umma Connected. We are live on 75W Radio. We are streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom, where this conversation continues. Chairman David is Kauma. I've just seen you are not there. It was a clap, I think, and then just disappeared. Oh, it's your hand up. Yes, go ahead, Mr. David Kauma. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good to have you. How are you today?
Fine. How are you? I was misled by the posting. It said 8 p.m. Boston.
Oh, right. Okay.
No, 4 p.m. instead of 3.
Yes.
So I was an hour late.
Oh,
very interesting topic.
Our apologies on that. Where are you joining us from?
Toronto.
From Toronto. Oh, welcome. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and good to have you. Well, the conversation, I'm sure you've been listening in from the time you joined, at least the hour that you've been in.
Yes.
Well, what's your take?
Very interesting. Like the engineer said, there are a lot of basis on this, especially in diaspora and contexts that we arrive at our decisions in this context, different contexts. Some of us have been out for so long. We got married when we are in this diaspora. Others come when they already started their married life from back home. So there is in between. Now, and then we bring in what we've seen from home, what we know our parents did. An example, my father was the sole breadwinner. My mother was a stay-home person. So that I knew. But when I came here, getting married, you can't make ends meet. But then when you get children, you start realizing that if somebody's also putting something on the table, they cannot take care of everything at home. So you come into a mutual understanding of how to balance the life and what sort of life you really want. You can't have it both ways. So you have to pitch in and get on the table. Here, when you work in a public, like a government institution, we've got what they call the sunshine list. Anybody can look up what you get if you are an employee of the government. So you are on the list. So there is no hiding of how much you make or what, not even from your neighbors or from other people at a certain range. But if you're in private, no, you're not in a private company. But if you're working for the government and you reach a certain threshold, each year they produce that list. So now, that being said, even if you get less, and somebody else gets more. It's your lifestyle that you want to lead and how you want to lead. If you don't put everything on the table to discuss that, then everything breaks down.
Mr. Kafuma, you've touched on the issue of the fact that the context matters.
Yes.
There are those people who got married back home, then managed to relocate and move to the West.
Yes.
There are those who got married in the West, and therefore, if you met in the West, the circumstances are much easier. I think part of the problem, and a lot of the problems actually have happened to families that migrated. They married in Africa, where the husband had a particular positioning, a particular way that he was, he was fully responsible for, the home. And this is a very African thing. Back home, I would never have imagined my wife. She could chip in, and probably it could be even chip in without even my knowledge. But I would never imagine her coming in to come and, handle a cost within the running of the home. It was my full responsibility. Transition comes into the West, where she's working, she's probably earning more than me or similar money that I'm earning. To have that conversation now, where do you start having that? How easy would it be to sort of transition? Because yours is different. You got married in the diaspora, but I want to put this to you as in a sort of a devil's advocate perspective. How do you start having a conversation where you have been fully in charge of situation, as to sitting on the table now to have a conversation about how to break the costs?
I've been privileged because I've observed the situations you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen people who've come here who are even with children, and they are shocked. But we have to realize one thing. When we come to the Western world, the history is the fear of the Black man. Of the most societies, when you come here, a Black man is feared. They think we are aggressive or anything. So you'll find that usually the ladies get jobs first, and they are not fired on a whim, because you get a job and then next day there is nothing. As the engineer indicated, you're fired, not because of cause, but because of who you are sometimes. And in most cases, before your feet are wet, you really get into such situations. So in order to run a household, these things are faced, and there are challenges that we get to learn so fast that you lose your status, and some of it is very depressing. I've seen gentlemen who arrive and they're very depressed because they can't find a job. They can't provide. They are not who they were anymore, and the status is taken. But if it clicks and you conform, and then you listen, and then you start to understand the society you've come in, it's hard, but you start learning pretty fast, because it's like that until you get your bearings to start earning and making up. But remember, in any union like a marriage, after you have children, you parents are no longer, you're working for those children for the good of your family. So that should, I think, bring you together to start understanding that our focus should be on our family, and that other things fall in part. Like the gentleman who said now he gets a lift because I don't know. I really never had my wife cut the grass at all. That I don't know. That's my job. If I find her cutting the grass, I'll say, whoa.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic, David. Thank you very, very much for a first time as well, and then breaking through and opening up into a conversation that is quite interesting. Well, we are talking money and the dynamics in the home politics. Umu Alia, I'll bring you in. Do not mind if you've already had a say, you can just come back at any point. This is a conversation we are having. Something might just crop up in your mind, and we can use it probably to explore a little bit more. It's just whether money should be a problem. There are homes that have manage to have a conversation around money and everything is fine. There are homes where money is not easily a discussion that you will have, especially on this conversion perspective. You know, we almost need a conversion therapy for people who have gotten married back home in Africa. You come here, you know, you are with your wife. It's not like you've met in the West, and then you have to have conversations around money, especially in terms of who puts what on the table. There are people who are, you know, easily accessible, and I'm just not actually sort of, well, I should say I'm proud. I'm married to a woman who is my Khadija in some sorts, you know, sort of putting money to my disposal, being able to use her money without a problem. And it's not like I don't have my own, but even in situations where, you know, I've had to, you know, the support is there. And that comes in quite handy. It sort of makes it easier for you to sort of feel the same way. There is a reciprocal aspect to it that if you can easily, because when someone becomes tricky with money, then, you know, particular questions start rising and it can affect the kind of relationship you have. I just Sarah in the chat room was saying, when money disappears, one of you will understand that it is a different situation in that moment and you try to cope. And she says, money is the key in watering a relationship. When it disappears, most of the time the relationship will dry up and die. It's not what people want to hear, but it happens. Well, quite often, when you don't have money, relationships suffer. And I'd actually painted a picture, an example of, you know, COVID sets in. Man has just started work, 6 months into the work. COVID sets in, lockdown comes in, man is out of work. Wife continues to work because she's part of the key workers, essential workers. Husband is in a sector that shuts down. Shutting down the furlough system that the government brought in to help assist people with money was such that you would have had to have submitted your tax returns over 3 years, you know, like for 3 years in a row. This person is just started into the self-employment business 6 months down the road. COVID sets in, lockdown comes in, husband is out of work, 6 months of sitting down, entirely dependent on a wife who even never winked at one moment. But the man now comes out to feel that the madness, you know, you get to a situation where you've managed, you know, they start opening up a little bit and you have to go and do shopping. Man struggles to ask money for fuel. How do you ask, you know, money for fuel from your wife? If you get to the point of having to beg, then the madness. So man talks about this idea of the fact that he felt that his manhood had disappeared. That's the conversation we are continuing to have here, and the difficulties that money bring in, and whether now the person that is on the other hand giving, whether she gets to a point where she feels tired of giving. Well, remember, have your say either in the chat room or just raise up your hand and we will come to you. My internet is showing again being unstable. There's 29 minutes past 9 o'clock, just about 31 minutes to the top of the hour and the end of the program. Well, I come to you, Aliyah. I just disappeared, I think. Munira has struggled with the line quite a lot. Let me just try to see if we can come. Munira, are you there or using Munira's line? While we wait, Munira? Logged in as Munira. Do you want to come in? Aliyah is here. Yes, Aliyah, I'll come to you. Aliyah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello, Aliyah, go ahead.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
You are logged in as Aliyah now.
I didn't realize because I was using I'm using my phone, my daughter's phone.
Yes.
I'm gonna try.
Nice to have you, Sheikh. How are you?
So, alhamdulillah.
How is the family?
Alhamdulillah, we are good. Alhamdulillah. This is Musa Lebemwa.
Yes, no, I can hear you. That's why I said Sheikh.
And so. I'm going to try to mix English and Uganda. Some words will come out nicely in Uganda. I remember mzee wange yangamba nti osabanga nnyo Mungu akusaasire akuwe ebintu osabanga nnyo Mungu akusaasire akuwe ebintu bibiri. Osabanga nnyo obeere ng'omukyala omusinga okufuna ssente. Ekyokubiri osabanga nnyo bere ng'omukyala omusinga okutegeera. Ati Mungu bw'akugerera n'ofuna omukyala nga mugezi nnyo okusinga. Obanga akusinga okufuna sente wallahi Mungu aba akuleetedde zahama.
Kati musalugemu esente nyangu akuma n'omanya nti ozimusinza okutegeera kuli kutya. Criteria ki gy'okozesaawo
ng'omutegeerera waliwo okubanga nga academical ali waggulu eri nga goli wano basically weekanga nga omuzungu kyagamba nti you end up being the one who wears she wears all the trousers at home. Okitegeera.
naye waliwo okubanga akuguse nnyo naye naaba nga akukkiririzaamu, because I think okutegeera kuno nyinza okuteeka mu context ey'okukkiririzaamu. Olw'omukyala gw'osanga asomye naki naye nga bakyayogedde siga nti it is well Quranic truth naye aba ayina bw'amukkiririzaamu, they become supportive in that context.
Allah
Anyway, they can make this because that was your father.
Mungu akusaasira nnyo era omusabanga nnyo ekyo nekiba nekino ekituukirira. Ekino ekituukirira naye nga kiri highly unlikely kubanga obeera mu situation where nga oyogera kino nga akureasoningira wali nga kati basically that manhood nawe olaba ng'ekola ki. Ekitanda tukiteeke wano naga nti ate okusinga physics kira kijja kubeera ku angle eno bweki nga mutuufu olabira ddala nga ngoba entebe tugiteeke wano nti okusinziira ku kino twasoba entebe erina kubeera wano bwoti kwegamba eventually ogenda okulaba nga because
I can see Jaden's hand is up, most likely. Can you try and go in the English? You are doing Kassim Kanyam.
Okay.
Because I'm sure he's interested in hearing your point. And
the argument is, the argument is, if the wife is much, if the wife is more clever than you are, okay, or much more educated than you are. For example, if she's a PhD and you are a diploma, that is a huge academic gap between both of you. So she ends up understanding better than you do. So she ends up basically, basically calling all the shots at home. For example, you may choose, hey, I think let's buy a white bed, and then but then she'll reason you academically. That way, according to physics, I mean, it's yellow bed is better. According to the chemistry I studied, this is better. So eventually, you realize that everything you say or everything decision you make is hard against yours. So eventually, you start feeling like the little person at home. That doesn't. So it eventually affects you somehow. Because now you feel smaller, you even feel more inferior to suggest things at home, so you leave everything up to her, not because you want to, but because you have no choice. The other thing is somehow we've been through relationships where initially when you get married and both of you are still broke, both of you are, your financial status is not good enough. To me, somehow that's the best time of your relationship, when basically both of you are struggling, when you are earning minimum wage, so you bring all the finances on the table, and then when you go to the market, to open market together to look for cheap items together, but now there comes a time when both of you have your financial statuses have increased, you're both earning, or she's even earning more than you do, basically when you can afford everything. Now, that quality time you used to spend together discussing, going through your problems, things you can't afford, Googling things on the internet, on Gumtree, on eBay to find cheap deals, or going to the open market, the farmer's market to buy potatoes, which are 10p or 20p or 50p cheaper. Okay? Once you get the finances, once you get the money, you've got the ability to afford everything. You just click and buy anything you need. So which means you've lost that quality time which you used to have when you had no money. So yeah, that's the thing.
Hajat Sarah says that she's basically smashing your ego.
Exactly. The other thing is there's a time when you could afford just one TV at home. Okay, so you could both sit in the sitting room and watch that same TV, or the time when you had no Sky, when you were relying on normal TV, free view channels. So then at least you did not have a selection of TV channels to watch. So you would sit together and watch the same program. Now come a time when you have this money, you can afford Netflix, you can afford all these movies, you can afford 2 TVs, one TV in the sitting room and the other TV in the bedroom, which means you lose if you want to watch the news or football and she wants to watch something else, she will move over to the bedroom. So you lose that quality time which you used to have together. Okay, so back to the point which my dad said, it's not a blessing in disguise, I would say. Or would I say it's a blessing? Do you think it's positive for your wife to earn more than you do? So I would say, personally, I think I would prefer to stay earning more than she does. If I had it my way, I would prefer her salary not to increase.
Or would you work doubly harder? Because her salary can increase, but then you work doubly harder. You work twice as hard to make sure you are at par.
And that's another price to pay, because then that means basically you are working 16 hours a day, and then you have no time for the kids anymore. So so you have no time for the kids anymore. So
there's always a way to pay. Yes,
exactly. So there's no winning here. So there's no silver bullet.
So your father's advice, did you manage to live up to it?
Unfortunately, halfway down the road, initially the first 5 years, 6 years, yeah, it was brilliant. Then halfway, then eventually you lose control, because then the wages start increasing enormously, and probably your wages are not increasing. They don't match up to, and there you go. So so then
how would a man then, behave in such a situation where an inferiority complex might start evolving as a result of, being beaten in terms of income, being lower in income? How do you get over that?
I think time comes when reality has to kick in, and you have to adjust and kind of basically to adjust human ego from 100%, you lower it to 60%. Yes. You know that, hey, this is a situation where I have to be glued, that I have to get to the sink and wash the dishes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because so the time when you just snap your finger and they bring tea for you in the sitting room with your feet up, and so you know that, hey, I think time has come when now I've got to make my own tea, I've got to make my own cup of tea, and I've got to wash my own dishes, do my own laundry, and do my own ironing, okay, or do the ironing at home, because that's unfortunately that's the price we pay.
Jaden, I can see your hand is up. Are you speaking to Musa Rugemwa? Musa Rugemwa, stay there. Jaden, you wanted to come in there.
Salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Oh, it is Narongo. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I'm sure you're listening in.
Yes, I'm listening. Mine is a bit different.
Yes.
I'm going to talk to my experience. Me, I'm thinking that if you went in that relationship with the intention of love, you went in that relationship with love, money came after. This man or woman, when you started your relationship, if he wooed you with money, that's the first thing you will consider will be money. But if there was love before money, whatever comes after, if he has more money than I do, I don't think it would change me, because I loved him before the thing called money came in. So when we are together and then one nansingako,
yes.
Sinza kulaba lwaki nkyuka ng'ate love ye yasooka before money.
So Narongo, let me put it to you. Are you the Stella type? Because Stella was saying she's very impatient. If she comes and asks for something, because now you are working, you are able, you have access to money. There's this dress or handbag that you want. There's this Michael Kors watch or handbag that you are dying to have.
Yeah.
And Mr. says, you know, money not available at the moment. Are you the type that will just get your money and go and buy it, not waiting?
With that situation, it will depend. If I ask and see, he has, because by that time, Mova, you communicate a lot, isn't it? Kati womusabira nolaba, there's nothing. If I can afford, I go and buy. If I can't, then I wait. Money, whoever has more, I don't see it as a big deal that, oh, because he has more, I should do this. You are there as a wife, you are there as a family. Money should come maybe a second.
So you would still go ahead, Narong, and buy that Michael Kors handbag and then wait for him to because you've asked.
If he can, yes. If he can't, that's it.
No. It's not about it. You've asked and you wanted it so badly, and he said, because there was an element. Jaden, are you there by any chance? Because I would like to engage the both of you, because Jaden was talking about the suspicion that arises with wives when money starts coming in. The imagination is now, if this man remains with a lot of money at his disposal, the next thing is the mathna wa thulatha wa ruba, number 2, number 3, or number 4. There is that worry, and therefore there is a constant asking to make sure the money remains within, you know, acceptable limits where it wouldn't cause trouble.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I would reach that extent.
Yes.
Yeah, if he gives, he gives. If he doesn't, that's it. Because the first thing, I loved him before money. Money came in after. Anything, I don't think will push me away because he didn't do that. He didn't do anything. Yeah.
He is a very lucky man, I should say, Naro. Thank you very much. I'm leaving you just because of time. Barakallahu fikum. I hope you have made your point. I did. Naro, had you finished?
Yes, I have.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll go to Abdul Karim. I'm trying to get to the people who haven't spoken. Then I'll come to engineer and then back to Mr. Mr. Kavuma. Abdul Karim, welcome to the conversation. And while you come, a message from Hajat Sarah here, banning the chat room. Very interesting conversation. If you've just joined us, this is Come Let's Talk with Kassim, Kayira. And tonight we are talking about money and the power dynamics in a home. Sheikh Hussein Ali, I've seen you. Welcome to the conversation. Pretty late into the conversation, but I'm sure you've caught the tail end of it. It must be a very interesting where you are sat there. Hajat Sarah says, if you have asked me about the 2 TVs in the house, I would say that it does bring happiness to some homes, because I remember that fighting for the remote. To some homes, because when it is sports season and women like me have no interest watching watching the sports, it would be joy to watch what I like at Telemundo in another room and not be unhappy with you watching your sports. People in long-standing relationships, sometimes love fades and you are left with kindness. Abdul Karim, you have the word. Salaam alaikum. And thanks for your patience. You've been there in the Cambodia, I think, building up the energy.
No.
Thanks. Welcome to the question. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Please go ahead, fire on.
Me, I have no inferiority complex whether my wife is getting more than me or I'm getting more than her. What I see is that if a family is made up of 2 people, and if we make it more realistic, especially in this Western environment, assuming that KK, you're going for, let's say, a mortgage, the terms would be more convenient if you're a teamwork. That's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we try to minimize, it's not, I wouldn't say minimize or shadow the income of one party, against the other, then if we are to go for a project, assuming we are going for a project like a mortgage, then you're going to fail out, or you're going to take it at a high cost because you're only solo. Yeah. To be frank, that's why I typed in for the next generation here.
You need to partner up.
We should groom our boys and girls to co-share and coexist.
How would you respond, Abdul Karim? How would you respond to Babazi? Who shall come as well, Babazi, because I think you are a newbie in this conversation. How would you respond to Babra and Babazi, who says, what if the issue is not just who makes more, but one partner refuses to contribute to the household when working? And I'm assuming here now, I doubt whether it would be a man, it would be the man refusing to contribute. Or is it because the wife is earning more and therefore the husband decides not to contribute? Would he still be a man in the house?
You know, there are two things. There is saying you're married, but when marriage is for convenience.
Right.
That should be black and white, you know. But if you are into it, realistically, there is nothing for free here.
So what's the convenience then when you can't help with the finances? Where is the convenience?
The convenience, the one who has to come and chip in. It's clear. That's how I see it. I have a friend of mine is white. The wife gets more than him, and the man takes the home running of kids to school and blah blah blah. But the money is never an issue, you know, within their relationship. But within our African settings, we have that stigma that everything has to be a man, you know. Yeah. And this has led us to lose some key issues in community, whereby, if a woman gets in more money, then she will like, if I help my man, or he may bring in another number 2, number 3, number 4, of which may be right, but at the end of the day, it's about teamwork. That's what I will say.
Thank you very much, Abdul Karim. And why don't I bring in Barbara before going to David Kavuma and engineer. Barbara, I'm just bringing you because you've raised a question, and I'd like just to put back the question to you. First of all, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. How are you today?
Sorry,
Kassim. You logged in as Barbara.
Kassim, so I logged in the Zoom, and I think my wife left it logged in, and it's
you forgot to change. Yes. Oh,
yes,
sincere apologies.
yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
Am I assuming, are you in Boston or are you in Maryland?
I'm in York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, York. Yes. All right. You are where?
York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania. All right. Oh, welcome to the conversation. Yes, we are talking money. You are newlywed now, and money must be. Is that a conversation you've had? Congratulations.
No. I think most people touched on it, and I find it the biggest problem is the culture that brought us. That is the man who's supposed to take care of it. So and I've realized not just one couple there or there, but it becomes a big problem mostly when we start working, and now it's the wife is working, the man is working. So whose money is whose money? So things are okay when you making good money, and you tend to think, okay, the other party will leave that money to be savings, but when things becomes hard and really it's time to pitch in, I feel like the culture, it's like an embarrassment, because I even talk to friends and I'm like, okay, hey guys, how you guys handle things like this when it comes to finance? And somebody will tell you, no, man, that's embarrassing. How do you tell? You're an African man. You can't even tell your wife to contribute your.
Yes.
No, that's embarrassing. And these are friends we've been here together for a long time.
Some of us are still conservative about some of these things.
And I'm like, okay, it's new to me. So I like this conversation, because on the other side for me, I felt like I'm the only one who's trying there's a stigma. They say you're trying to become so westernized, like remember you're an African man. You're an African man. Okay, I'm an African man, but I'm not supposed to go in loans when we have another income coming in. And in the long run, every loan or credit I take is going to affect us either way or the other way. But how we can get out of that bubble or the culture bracket, how to educate ourselves and these conversations to be able to talk to each other and say, hey, how do we get out of that bubble and how do we approach this issue?
Right. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you very much, Ismail Kassim. And sorry, I called you Barbara because that's how you were logged in. Oh, very, very interesting. I'll come to engineer and then Mr. David Kavuma, but I'll also need to hear from Sheikh Hussein Ali Bulafu regarding this, the religious aspect, because from a perspective, from an Islam perspective, the man is supposed to look after the home. Whatever the woman has is really her money. If she decides to come in and help, alhamdulillah. If not, it's really her money. And it would be just interesting just probably to hear just that perspective in terms of how do we balance now the realities that we are facing, especially in the West, but also back home in comparison to, this religious standing, which doesn't go away. And I'm not sure whether Islam says your wife can't help, but the fact that the husband takes, the heavy burden, you have to carry the rubengo, and the wife only can come in just to sort of augment your efforts. I come to you, Engineer Makumbi. Thanks for your patience. Yeah, back to you again. Let's keep it short because we have got 8 minutes to the end of the program and would like to fit in as much as we can. Thanks for your patience. Go ahead, please. Now.
Yeah, I think people have been talking about so many things. I've been in Uganda for some time, and women are taking all the responsibility of running the homes in Uganda, fortunately.
Yes.
People have been talking about we came from Uganda, came from somewhere. Women have started running their homes. Men have become hopeless. Majority of them, they don't have their wife running their homes. Go to schools, you hardly see men going to schools, whatever it is men, women who are running things. However, people here, what they fail to understand, if you are to improve or to uplift from one group into another, you have to have the joint income. If you want to get a mortgage, you have to have two income. One income can't do everything. So you just have to accept and be confident that life has changed. We left home, we came abroad to have to behave like a white man. And that's why they manage to live happily. So if your wife earns more, it's irrelevant. If you earn more than her, it's irrelevant. As long as you sort out all the bills, you understand each other, they won't have any problem. The problem with men who have left Uganda or coming here, they have the inferior complex. They feel that I can't tell my wife if I'm in trouble. If you do like that, you are cheating yourself and you end up in a very big problem. So the thing is you have to eat your ego and accept that this is a new world. You have to have joint income if you are to move on.
Thank you very much. Barakallah. Yes, and I come on to very interesting conversation today. We've had really people from across, the board. I wish we had someone from you. Oh, we are going to be hearing from the Sheikh Hussein if he's still there. Mr. Kavuma, to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. Nalongo there talked about love and Abdel.
Love from poverty.
Yes, yes. From the conversations today, I feel very blessed that I've got a very loving wife, because the issue is we have to put our money on the table. We have to make a budget, an open budget, and we discuss the things that are going on in the life. We have to put a roof over our heads. We have to eat, and we have to, all expenditures, if they are known and income is known, then you've halved the problem. That discussion has to be had. Then each has got to have a discretionary allowance where they can spend that part of the money without question. in their
what
own
they
way.
like, on
Yes.
what matters to them. Yes.
So the issue of handbags coming into the relationship to upheave everything do not occur, because it's taken care of. They've got money to spend as they wish, and there will be no question. So, and the money is on the table. Everything is on the table. And if you want to upgrade, and coming to the Western world, somebody mentioned it. If you're going to get into mortgages and everything, it's better. If you walk alone, you can go fast. But if you want to go far, you have to work together.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
when you consolidate, they look at you and actually even I've seen other communities. I've seen mostly from Asia that put money, not only one family, but more families, and they go very far. They own buildings, they own, I mean, very quickly.
No, Mr. Kavuma, I've seen it here, especially with the Sri Lankans. I've seen Sri Lankans who come, like 6 of them, even Indians. Yes. They come and share one house. They are all paying towards the mortgage. Within 4 years, the house is finished. They've paid, 4 or 5 instead of the 25 years. Within 25 years, 5 of them or 6 of them have managed to get a house. And it's built on trust.
Yes.
They are trusting.
I see Indian families here where the account is one, but they're even the kids that are working in a coffee shop, others are the gentlemen are truck drivers and everything, and the account is one. You might get a big job and you go there, say I'm a manager of something, and you walk into the bank, but they see Mr. Singh there, who is a driver, you think. They call him in because his income, the account in a month, it's so fat. There's a lot of money coming in. They give him a bigger loan. He can go and buy a plaza instead of a tiny house. So, and he's a landlord already because of that. So we have to be wise. When we come to the West, we have to think like the Western and take advantage of those things.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kavuma.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much once again. Umar, I come to you and then I'll come to Sheikh Hussein. Umar, you were saying, read just the message quickly. Yes, I was just coming to unmute you there. Quick message here that I'll read in the chat room while Umar is getting ready. Ajat Sarah says they have taken up that responsibility. That is the mothers in Uganda, the women in Uganda are running the home because the men have reneged or they have refused to do it. I'm sure the women are moaning about it. Umar says, I think all the money belongs to the family, so it's about priorities in the house. We must handle together. This is Europe. Umar, so I'm coming to you. But Jaden says women are good managers and homemakers, but their decisions can be irrational when emotions take control. Wanting to impress friends with what they have may lead to irresponsible spending. That's why some men are tight with their wallets. I'm sure there will be a point. Umar, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam, Sheikh Kayira. Nice to be on the platform tonight.
Yes, thank you very much.
And this is very interesting conversation.
I mean,
I think we as Ugandan community, we have 2 problems in this perspective. One is religious issue as Muslims, and then the other is Africanism, all of which say the man should take a lead. But in terms of what I'm seeing here right now, opportunity for to anyone. My wife can be earning a lot, and I'm earning less. Sorry.
Right.
So what happens is, if we have to move to make any investment, either here or back home, we must put this money together. But the only problem I see here is most of the sisters will confirm that when they allow, they think that if they bring their man on the table, men will still, switch on to our own desire. Say, I will marry, I will invest a private profit somewhere. That's where they don't want to bring things on table. And at the same time, for them, they will still be spending things on parties, dresses, what. For it, me as a man, I don't see as a priority. So I think that's where the problem is. But money belongs to the whole family. It's a family income. We have to bring everything on table and try to do something that can benefit us and our children. That's what I think. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, women are very distrusting when they think the money has come in and you'll end up expending them elsewhere, and yet you can manage to spend it on there. Sheikh Hussein, thank you very much for for joining the conversation. Sheikh Hussein is a lecturer at the Islamic University in Uganda. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my senior.
I'm sure you have been enjoying the conversation in the background there.
Exactly. I've really been enjoying.
Well, raised the point that I was just going to ask you, which just comes in quite handy, which is the issue of the religiously, because he's mentioned 2 points, the cultural aspect and then the religious aspect, which I think might be actually misrepresented or misused or abused, in other words. Islam says the man should be the head of the lead. It doesn't mean the wife can't help. Or am I wrong?
Oh, barakallahu fikum. First of all, I'm really humbled to be part of this conversation. But what I think about that statement clearly, when it comes to Islam, in line with a wedded couple, to be more specific, you will find out that Islam provided a financial conversation between the couple way back when it comes to the dowry level, where Islam never said no but to the highest and no but to the lowest. So indirectly, the guidance of Islam would be, if this couple has the discipline to sit down and get to an agreement of what amount of money would work like dowry, that discipline alone, if this couple is to stick on that discipline when it comes to their financial relations, probably there would be some nice relating when it comes to dealing with finances, even after marriage. So when we get to Islam, specifically many of the Quranic verses, profound ones, Allah made it straight clear. What makes a man in Islam is his discipline to make sure he is providing for the lady. So one of the misconceptions that are normally spread out there is you will find a Muslim lady that is trying to back up the fact that she is not willing to spend any cent to give it out to the partner, to give it out to the kids, even to the level that even when she's investing within her own kids, she will at one point be like, I'm doing this and you really have to repay me back. Yet she spent on her own kids. So Islamically, now that's another level of now, I don't know how to term it. And I would like to actually take the first wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as an example. When Prophet was trying to make mention of her, even after she was already gone, dead, one of the factors that Prophet made mention of about his late wife Khadija, in front of his other wives, Prophet was like, wasatni bimaliha. Something that is actually making this wife special from all ladies. This is the lady that showered me with finance the moment when everybody denied me from their wealth. So Islamically, you will find out that there is this moderate position that is there, yet no one wants to be there. And as I'm concluding, when you visit the Islamic law of inheritance, it makes it clear. If you're going to get to an investment with your partner, something to do with finances, the Islamic law consultant like I will definitely guide you. I would be like, you really have to document whatever percentage each one of you is going to invest in, because we have to divide the wealth as soon as one of you is dead. So if at all there's nothing like documenting that, of course it will create wrangles. This is where you're going to hear a partner or maybe a spouse after some time, maybe if the marriage isn't working out, and then one partner would be like, come on, I'm the one who financed you to that level. And then Islamically, we are going to be like, at what percentage did you finance your partner so that we repay you back? When you visit the Islamic guidance, I think the guidance is just too moderate. Of course, it's a responsibility of the guy, the husband, to take good care of the wife in line with provisions and going more specific, finances. But when we get to a level where this husband now may get problems with finance, maybe he's earning low as compared to the money, the income of the wife, it shouldn't be a reason. It shouldn't be a reason for a wife to demean the husband. It shouldn't be a reason for the marriage now turning upside down. Maybe it's because of the African trends that we are having, where a man is supposed to be a man, even like just too rigid like that. But Islamically, it's just too moderate. But then,
the dilemma sometimes is for a man to feel their manhood. You know, like when you are below the woman in terms of below your wife in terms of money.
Yeah.
Do you feel man enough? You know, because there's some men who will tell you they can't feel their manness anymore because of the iniquity that has come in from the income. Wife has worked hard for it. It's not her fault, but she's there and the husband is here. His voice, because will he be listened to? Will the love be able to hold, you know, the respect that he's supposed to? Or should a man be killing himself, working too hard to make sure he is at par?
Exactly. I think this is a very tricky question, and it traps me to saying something.
Yes.
Like when we visit the Islamic guidance, being a man, the provision of a man is part of his roles.
Yes.
But he's supposed to still be a leader, still be a guider, still be like a mentor to his people. Now, we are trapped in a situation where almost everything is being tagged onto money, to the level that if at all a man isn't earning like expected, of course, by default, his right is going to be down. His right of mentoring the kids and wives, whatever, is going to be off him. So if we are living like in such times, it really becomes a little bit complicated. If someone, to be a man today, and you're not earning something, or maybe you're earning little, and your wife is earning more, and God forbid, you might be even having this undisciplined wife who isn't ready to go with you through this journey, I think it's really going to be hard for you to be a man, because the situation we are in today, there's a lot that is happening where almost everyone believes money is everything. But I believe some people out there really understand that money is a material, and just like they gained it after some time, it can also get one morning and they don't have anything. So if
Thank
at
you
all,
very much.
yeah,
Yes.
that's
Thank
my
you.
that's part.
Thank you very much. I'll just take in two people and then probably we can wrap up the conversation. Very interesting conversation. Actually, it's ended up really opening up. And as usual, Big Gwabi, as it gets towards the end, it gets a lot more interesting. I'm coming to you, Amber, Amina, there just to hear this, because it's about the money aspect. The money aspect is still there in terms of the man. There's something that I wanted to raise here that actually I think would sort of, oh, right, yeah. The picture I wanted to paint was quite often you'll see if you are in a wedding meeting, they come with a budget and, you know, people start pledging. The person who comes and pledges the most amount of money in the next meeting, whether they arrive late or whatever, a space will be created for them straight away. This is just the natural feeling about money. If someone has more money, if they've contributed more, they have more of a say. This sometimes, you know, comes into the home, because the more you feel like you've given of yourself, Engineer Makumbi might disagree to say it's just money, it's just a small thing. If love is there, everything should be fine. But ultimately, once you've contributed more, I think you feel like you should have more of a say. Or am I not right about that? Amina? Hello, Amina Amba on Samsung. Or maybe not in a position to speak. Well, we should be wrapping up. I just wanted to hear from some few people who haven't had a chance to speak at all before as we wrap up. I think there's a message here. I'll just be reading it. I wanted to check on Abu Jamal. You've been quiet from the very beginning, Abu Jamal, and thank you very much, Hussein, for that guidance on the Islamic line. I'm sure whoever thought it is the Islamicity that was bringing a problem, then I'm sure that you will have to review your view. Hajat Sarah, actually, when some women cater for the household, they make sure that they rub it in. Oh, that's what I was actually trying. I was trying to look for the word. They'll keep reminding you. Every time you have to be reminded, I did this, I did this. So Hajat Sarah says, actually, when some women cater for the household, they make sure they rub it in and would sometimes make constant reminders to their husbands about it. That in itself slowly makes the men shift in their levels of worthiness. Abu Jamal, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran
for
holding on to the program. Shukran for holding on to this program.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being a part of it tonight. I'm sure you've heard that. On the comment of Hajat Sarah is probably actually that's where we would pick it up nicely. Woman comes in and contributes, and then she will remind you.
I think it is a perfect statement, but we all have to realize part of a man's success is made by his ego, and sometimes we do lose our ego when we earn less. And personally, I would say that really, ideally, the man should earn a bit more than the woman, and he should be responsible for almost everything in the family. That's how I see it. But again, it's from place to place, it's from family to family, it's from couple to couple. So it is what it is. And but personally, I would prefer that the man earns more than the woman, so that he can.
Yeah, that would be the ideal, but the real is slightly different. When you get to the reality of today, you find that women have managed to push themselves hard enough to earn quite significantly.
Then you have some questions to ask yourself. Why am I in this position whereby I'm earning less and I'm not the main earner in this family? How come I've got to this point? And there's already things that you can do to try and change that. Otherwise, you may end up compensating it with your dignity and get some sort of insecurities as well. So it's I don't really, yeah.
All right.
I would encourage them to work very hard and earn more in the family so that they can provide for the family and protect it.
So as a concluding remark, then how do you think we should handle money so that it doesn't become a problem in a home, so that the power dynamics within the home remain? David Kavuma, you have just left us. You said you had a commitment. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation. Abu Jamal, I'm still with you, and I'm asking, where do you think is the way forward? How can we make sure money doesn't become a problem in terms of the dynamics, the power dynamics in the home?
I think there is always ways to compensate for our losses. If you lose in the earning gain, you can compensate it with something else. But then you end up paying a bit more, because if you're not earning enough money in the family as a man, and the woman is earning more money than you, you have to compensate it with something else. You have to really to give in and give up and
thank you very much, Abu Jamal. Much appreciated. And I think Engineer Makumbi answered my question here, which would be a nice way to wrap up. He says it's for both parties to share their wealth together, irrespective of their earnings. Of course, now that will deal with handling or changing attitudes, of course, considering, there's that conversion therapy now for those who came from Africa and had to find themselves really dumped into this scenario that we are in. Aliyah says, oh, that was Rugemwa. There is a sheikh who issued a blanket fatwa that everything that a woman earns while married belongs to her husband, that even when a man and a woman do a business or invest in property together, all the earnings or proceeds from the business or property belongs to the husband. Subhanallah. Well, Sarah says, my dear brother, to retain your manhood, try and be the home providers. I think that's really there's something for us to take away tonight. Thank you very much. The program has been fantastic. Come, let's talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We've been live on 75 W Radio, live on Ummah Connected, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. Hope to see you next week in these big numbers as well, inshallah, when we shall be having a serious conversation. I'm hoping, unless something changes along the way, that we shall be talking about the sacrifices that you've had to give up for something. Of course, there is this Somali girl, a basketball player in the United States of America, who has been, working hard. She's stuck by her guns because of the hijab. It was the first instance in the whole basketball fraternity for her. The journey to until get accepted now to play in her hijab was a big sacrifice. So we'll be asking, of course, this kind of sacrifices built on this girl's particular experience to see in our own ways what we've had to sort of put up or sacrifice to get where we want to get. Unless, of course, then the story is overtaken by events during the week. This is always a topical choice of stories depending on what's happening around us. I can only thank you very much for the time you've made for the program. Inshallah, hope to see you next week. This program is held by you because it is you who are the experts. It is your experiences that make it what it is. Remember, if you've missed anything on this program, you can still catch up. Just go look for www.75wradio.com. Just search for Come Let's Talk with Kassim Kayira. Alternatively, just go to YouTube, look for Ummah Connected. That is UMMAH, then Connected, and just search for Come Let's Talk with Kassim Kayira. You can see all the episodes that you might have missed in the program. Well, I'm only left to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, hoping to see you next week, and thank you very much for making this program what it is. Hope to see you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.